Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the year ahead, 2023 in Vancouver real estate. Going to talk about what I expect to see in the market. We're going to do a very quick review of what happened in 2022. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I'm a real estate agent in Vancouver, and I make this educational real estate content specifically to help you in your real estate journey. If you want to talk about real estate yourself, you can book a call with me in the Calendly link below. But let's not waste any time. Let's get rolling. All right, so let's talk about the year that was. 2022 was a tale of 2 years. We had an extremely strong, active market in January, February, and March. Parts of April as well, very strong. I would suggest that since the pandemic, this was the hottest period for real estate, and a heavy escalation of prices in Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. As agents, feet on the street, I remember looking back at it, we were all feeling that the market was getting very frothy. It was getting very high values that looked like they were going to be tough to sustain. And in the end, that did turn out to be the case. As heading into May and June, we started to notice the decrease in sales quantity, in sales prices as well. Now, the big thing that triggered this change in sentiment and this change in buying frenzy were interest rate raises. We had some of the most significant interest rate raises that we have seen in decades here. And anytime, if you look at the history, you look at the data, anytime interest rates go up, sale prices, real estate prices, they come down because buying power decreases with every interest rate raise. I don't need to tell a lot of you, I know a lot of you are on variable rate mortgages. A lot of you felt the pinch right away if you were on adjustable. Like myself, you would have seen your payments increase. If you were not on adjustable and you had a fixed payment, a lot of people did hit trigger rates like myself on another property. So it's been an interesting year for me too. But yeah, it's been a tough year when it comes to borrowing costs. And as soon as that sort of stuff happens, real estate prices start coming down. Now, they are fairly resilient because normally you'll see the sales quantity come down first and then the prices. But depending on the type of product, on a month-over-month basis from June until the end of the year, anywhere from a percentage point decrease to 2.5% decrease each month. It doesn't seem like a large number, but when you total that up over a period of months, it obviously adds up. So that's a little bit about the year that was, but where do we sit today? And I'm going to do it from a seller angle and a buyer angle. We'll treat this kind of like a horoscope for 2023. Seller horoscope. So if you are a seller right now, you're thinking about selling, I'm going to give you the same advice that I gave my client yesterday. I was in a listing appointment and we're talking about pricing and hitting the market shortly. Here's my advice to sellers and what I foresee. I think right now, yes, we did see an influx of listing to start January, Metro Vancouver and Fraser Valley, but we have to keep in mind that a lot of listings dropped off on December 31st and these relisted in the new year. So it's very normal to see kind of a bit of a bump early on in the year. But what's going to happen is as we head towards spring, inventory will slowly increase and we'll see more inventory in February and March. So I think for sellers, there's a window of opportunity here right now if you price yourself correctly. And here's why. So if you price yourself right above market, suppose market value is right here and you want to price yourself right above because you want to see if you can fish for that buyer. What I just spoke about is sales prices are going down again, 1.5%, 2% per month. So if you sit here for 3 weeks or a month trying to get that price, thinking that you can lower to this price if you don't hit that number, you're actually going to have to lower much more than you thought to actually get a number that the market is going to accept and that a buyer is going to pay. So as you start going this way with the market value and you're hovering above it, your next asking price is going to have to be below it. So in fact, what you want to do is you want to get ahead of it early. In a falling market, what I tell my clients is we want to price ourselves 2 or 3% below the last comparable sale. In a market that's rising, my personal opinion, you want to price about 2 or 3%. Now, obviously each circumstance is unique, but in a general sense, you need to get ahead of the market so you don't fall behind and find yourself in a situation a few months from now when inventory is picked up in February, it's picked up in March. We've had another Bank of Canada announcement at the end of January where it's very likely we'll see an interest rate increase. So all of these triggers are gonna affect demand on your product. So really what I would do as a seller is I think right now is kind of that window of opportunity. I do think prices in the future towards the end of the year, middle end of the year, I think they're going to continue to go downwards until we see a stable point. Again, a lot of it's going to have to do with the Bank of Canada. I've been wrong in the past. I think this raise coming up in January will be 0.25%. Would not shock me if it's 0.5%, but I think it's gonna be a smaller raise. And then I think what we're all expecting is a bit of a wait and see approach, and rates holding kind of steady to see what the effects are, because a lot of effects of these interest rate increases, they're not felt until months later. So again, if you're a seller, I think there's an opportunity right now to get yourself on the market, price yourself correctly, try and beat some of that spring inventory. The one thing that you have working for you here in BC is immigration numbers. You know, BC, out of all provinces, we tend to have the most people coming to us from within Canada as well, moving to BC. We have a housing supply crunch overall. If you look at the metrics over a 10-year span, you'll consistently see inventory drop, 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 drop. So we are typically shortening, tightening up inventory as the years go on. Supply is becoming a greater issue. And in fact, the new housing minister, he's now looking at the federal government to say, look, here in BC, we're getting so many immigrants, not just from overseas, but from within Canada. We need you guys to be funding us based on the level of immigrants we're getting when it comes to affordable housing, and also when it comes to the medical side of things, because obviously the medical system is failing. We're unable to support the amount of growth. So as a seller, to tie it back into real estate, you have these things, you know, kind of working in your favor. But again, I think there's a window of opportunity before more inventory hits. Been talking with some of my investor clients that have condos, rental condos. They want to list their properties this year, especially the ones that have long-term tenants that are paying below market value for rents. It's not feasible anymore with the 2% raise that you can make in 2023 as a rental investor. So a lot of them, they're going to place their homes onto the market to also increase supply. All right, so now if you're a buyer, your buyer horoscope for 2023, I see a world of opportunity ahead of you in 23. There's going to be a lot of options for you to choose from different types of real estate. Again, as I just mentioned, I think inventory is going to increase as we move through the year. Those investor condos I just talked about, they will hit the market, and I think those are going to be great for first-time buyers. So you're going to have a lot of options. You are going to compete with obviously all of the people that are moving to BC. Now, we do have a foreign buyer ban in place. There are some exemptions to that ban, and the ban itself is only going to affect, 1 to 1.2% of transactions here in BC. So that's not going to have a large effect. If you're a buyer, I think you're going to be able to make thoughtful decisions this year. You're not going to have to rush into anything. You have the 3-day rescission period where if you make a decision you are unhappy with, you can rescind your offer, so you have a bit more peace of mind. But for this year, buyers, what I would be doing is, I typically tell people variable rate mortgages are a good way to go, but everyone's circumstance is different. Obviously, I've been hit pretty hard having variable rate mortgages. What a lot of buyers are doing now is they are taking shorter term fixed. So if I'm a buyer and I can afford my payments based on a shorter term fixed mortgage, and I want to buy real estate for the long term, this is my year. I truly believe this is the year for the buyer that, again, is making a conscious, thoughtful decision, not overextending themselves. I think there's great opportunity for that buyer. So buyers, you're going to have a really good year. You're going to have more inventory to choose from as the year goes on. I don't think interest rate raises are going to be as large a story this year as they were last year. We have to keep in mind when we look at inflation numbers, they are year over year numbers. So if we had really high inflation last year, it's really going to have to be astronomical to have those same levels of increases this year, to have that additional on top of last year. So I think things are going to mellow out a little bit. You won't verbally hear that from the Bank of Canada, because the last thing they want to do is say, we're at the end of our cycle. Don't worry, guys, we're good to go, because they're trying to discourage spending. They're trying to, they want buyer sentiment to not be confident right now. So you'll probably hear them say a lot of things such as, well, we have to monitor. We're not sure if we're there yet. We're willing to go further if we have to. We're ready to do it. But I think deep down inside, I don't think they want to do that. But the message is going to have to discourage any sort of, hyperactivity in asset markets, and that includes real estate. So guys, there you go. I hope you got some value out of this video, what I expect to see in 2023 and what we saw happen in 2022. If you did, I'd love it if you could hit the like button and consider subscribing to this channel. What that does is it sends the video out to more people so they can enjoy it and learn from it as well. If you're in the Vancouver area and you want any help with real estate, or you just want to talk about real estate, you can book me in the link below. We can have a phone conversation and chat. But outside of that, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video, and have a wonderful day.